Welcome back. Thanks for stopping by the Story Corner. We're glad to have you. Uh, it's a little late tonight. I say that a lot. I wasn't. My computer wouldn't connect for some reason. It wasn't connected, and I was really struggling with it for a few minutes. But here we are. We made it. So before we get started, um, what did you have for dinner? Oh, cute. I love to hear what people had put in the chat, just for fun, give each other ideas. Um, we had potato balls. I made potato balls and they were really good. And then just green salad. We've been trying to keep it a little lighter and simpler so that we're eating less and a little healthier. So big salad, few potato balls, and then I had made chocolate chip cookies. So we had a couple cookies.
Place for this emoji.
I think I get a good place. So cute. And I'm going to show off some of the stuff I make because I make cute stuff. You can't be noisy when I'm reading them, okay? So these. Oh my goodness, how cute are these? Look at this. You see that? See the cute little diamond shape, the blue, and then the top they have the little decorative flower loop, like so cute. And then they have the rhinestone dangling off the bottom. These are so stinking cute to me. I just love these. I think they're really adorable. And then, just to kind of like to pull it off the pack to give you an idea of how it looks on, about that size. So cute, right? So cute. I love these ones. Most of the stuff I make, I think is cute because that's why I made it, because I thought it was cute, right? Some stuff doesn't turn out the way I wanted, but some stuff when I make it, I'm like, dang, holy cow. These to me, so cute. Oh my goodness, I love them. And they're not in my store. I need to put them in the store because they are so cute, super cute. I love these. Can you tell? I'm quite proud of them. And then I have this little necklace on, it's like a dream catcher sort of base. So you can see all the detail in the silver. And then it just has the seashell, come on, flat, set in resin on top. So it's like a separate, almost like a little charm that dangles on top. And it's got the pink background and then a pink cord to make it just, silver and pink, the feminine. So this I think is really quite cute. I like that. And then I have this, it's kind of,
I got second place.
Oh, you did. Good job. She's drawing. She's on Roblox and drawing competitions, and loves it when she wins. Gets up on the board.
My little bluing.
She's competing against other people, and she actually does pretty good.
I'm on my little.
This little lime necklace. It's so fun. It's so just. I don't know. I love lemons, limes, that type of thing. So this is really adorable to me, and it's actually fairly big for people who like something a little bit bigger or, oh my goodness, chunkier. Super cute, right? Okay, and then one more. I'm gonna show off these earrings, and these are shark. Oops. Oh shoot! I just ripped the paper. So these are big, like they're big, chunky. I mean, I've seen people wear stuff that's massive. So when I say big, it's big to me. I think small jewelry. I like small jewelry, but these, I don't know for how big they are. I just think they're really cute. So they have the seashells set in them. So you can see the little seashells. And then they have kind of sand, but they're sort of a pinky and purple with the little bit of wave, like the white for waves. So it all looks like a ethereal ocean, pink and purple. So cute, right? I love it. I think they're cute. Anyway, all right. I'm done showing off all my cute stuff that I make. And if there's anything you see that you love, and it's probably not in my store because most of it isn't. It's a lot of work to put stuff in the store. I need to keep adding stuff, but it takes a lot of time, and I'm a busy mama. Oh, did I show the donuts already? I think I did. Did I show off these cute donuts? Aren't those darling? So cute. Clay. Some stuff I do out of clay, and those are cute. Okay, so a little recap. Oh, did you find a book? What you doing? So we have Letter 11. Um, and so Evelina is going to London. So she did actually go to London with Mrs. Mervyn and her daughter Maria. And they went out to one play. She loved it. She's not quite as impressed with London as she thought she'd be, but she said she would write to him every day to kind of keep him updated of what's going on. So, letter 11, Evelina in continuation, Queen Anne Street, April 5th, Tuesday morning. Oh, and Tess liked the accent, so I guess I'll embarrass myself and keep trying to do the accent. Oh, are you coming up or not? Yeah? Coming to say hi? Hi! Oh my goodness. I've got to not do this in here. See this? Look at this. See? The pens? Markers? He wigs over this. It's like, and then they're all going to be on the floor. And then if I don't keep him right here with me, he will take the lids off because he can. And he will draw on the bed, the carpet, the walls, the rugs, the couch, the chairs. I've never had a child who is so obsessed with markers and drawing on everything he sees. Oh my goodness. So I got to quit sitting up here to read because he just loves these so much. Okay. I have a vast deal to say, and shall give all this morning to my pen. As to my plan of writing every evening the adventures of the day, I find it impracticable, for the diversions here are so very late that if I begin my letters after them, I could not go to bed. I could not go to bed at all. We passed a most extraordinary evening. A private ball, this was called, so I expected to have seen about 4 or 5 people. But, Lord, my dear sir, I believe I saw half the world. 2 very large rooms were full of company. In one were cards for the elderly ladies, and in the other were the dancers. My mamma Mervyn, for she always calls me her child, said she would sit with Maria and me till we were provided with partners, and then join the card players. The gentlemen, as they passed and repassed, looked as if they thought we were quite at their disposal and only waiting for the honour of their commands. And they sauntered about in a careless, indolent manner, as if with a view to keep us in suspense. I don't speak of this in regard to Miss Mervyn and myself only, but to the ladies in general. Where are you going, baby? And I thought it so provoking that I determined in my own mind that far from humouring such airs, I would rather not dance at all than with anyone who should seem to think me ready to accept the first partner who would condescend to take me. Not long after, a young man who had for some time looked at us with a kind of negligent impertinence advanced on tiptoe towards me. He had a set smile on his face, and his dress was so foppish that I really believed he even wished to be stared at, and yet he was very ugly. Oh, that's kind of funny. Hi. Bowing almost to the ground with a sort of swing and waving his hand with the grandest conceit. After a short and silly pause, he said, "Madame, may I presume?" and stopped, offering to take my hand. I drew it back. Excuse me, I drew it back, but could...
Mom, what's the thing?
Magic. But could scarce forbear laughing. "Allow me, madame," continued he, affectedly, breaking off every half moment, "the honour and happiness, if I am not so unhappy as to address you too late, to have the happiness and honour—" Again he would have taken my hand, but bowing my head, I begged to be excused, and turned to Miss Mervyn to conceal my laughter. He then desired to know if I had already engaged myself to some more fortunate man. I said no, and that I believed I should not dance at all. He would keep himself, he told me, disengaged in hopes I should relent, and then, uttering some ridiculous speeches of sorrow and disappointment, though his face still wore the same invariable smile, he retreated. It so happened, as we have since recollected, that during this little dialogue Mrs. Mervyn was conversing with the lady of the house, and very soon after another gentleman, who seemed about 26 years old, gaily but not foppishly dressed, and indeed extremely handsome, with an air of mixed politeness and gallantry, desired to know if I was engaged, or would honour him with my hand. So he was pleased to say, though I am sure I know not what honour he would receive from me, but these sort of expressions, I find, are used as words of course, without any distinction of persons, of study, or propriety. Well, I bowed, and I am sure I coloured, for indeed I was frightened at the thought of dancing before so many people, all strangers, and which was worse, with a stranger. However, that was unavoidable, for though I looked around the room several times, I could not see one person that I knew. And so he took my hand and led me to join the dance. The minute we were the min oh the minuets I'm saying minute the minuets were over before we arrived, for we were kept late by the milliners making us wait for our things. He seemed very desirous of entering into conversation with me, but I was seized with such a panic that I could hardly speak a word, and nothing but the shame of so soon changing my mind prevented my returning to my seat and declining to dance at all. He appeared to be surprised at my terror, which I believed was but too apparent. However, he asked no questions, though I fear he must think it very strange, for I did not choose to tell him it was owing to me never dancing but with a schoolgirl. His conversation was sensible and spirited, his air and address were open and noble, his manners gentle, attentive, and infinitely engaging. His person is all elegance, and his countenance the most animated and expressive I have ever seen. Ah, she likes him. He's attractive. In a short time we were joined by Miss Mervyn, who stood next couple to us. But how was I startled when she whispered me that my partner was a nobleman. To give me new alarm, how well he be provoked, thought I, when he finds what a simple rustic he has honoured with his choice, one whose ignorance of the world makes her perpetually fear doing something wrong. What are you doing, baby? So now she's feeling super self-conscious because he's not just some stranger, but he's actually nobility. So then, she feels like he's so far above her.
Oh yeah, magic.
That he should be so much my superior every way quite disconcerted me, and you will suppose my spirits were not much raised when I heard a lady, in passing us, say, "This is the most difficult dance I ever saw." There you go, that'll help you be encouraged. What a lineup of events to make you feel stressed out. "Oh dear then," cried Maria to her partner, with your leave, I'll sit down till the next." "So will I too then," cried I, "for I am sure I can hardly stand." So she doesn't know the dance very well, and it's hard, so she's scared. So she's saying, "Okay, well, I don't want to dance then." "But you must speak to your partner first," answered she, for he had turned aside to talk with some gentleman. However, I had not sufficient courage to address him, and so away we all three tripped, and seated ourselves at another end of the room. So she didn't even say anything to him. She said she danced with him. She goes out on the floor, and then while he's talking to somebody else, she leaves.
I got first place. I had the best one.
You got
There's
first place?
Justin pulling a bunny out of his hat, and that got first place.
Nice.
Ooh.
She won. She's so happy. Good job. Oh, she should have done that over here. You should have seen her victory dance. No, should come do it for you. That's quite the victory dance. Okay. Poor girl. That's rude. Like, that's embarrassing. But unfortunately for me, Miss Mervyn soon after suffered herself to be prevailed upon to attempt the dance. Face. And just as she rose to go, she cried, "My dear, yonder is your partner, Lord Orville, walking about the room in search of you." "Don't leave me then, dear girl," cried I. But she was obliged to go, and now I was more uneasy than ever. I would have given the world to have seen Mrs. Mervyn, and begged of her to make my apologies. For what, thought I, can I possibly say to him in excuse for my running away? He must either conclude me a fool or half mad, for anyone who brought up in the great world and accustomed to its ways can have no idea of such sort of fears as mine. She's so backwards, like she's never been out in society like this and she doesn't know how to behave. Poor girl. My confusion increased when I observed that he was everywhere seeking me, with apparent perplexity and surprise. But when at last I saw him move towards the place where I sat,
like a familiar emoji.
yeah, I was ready to sink with shame and distress. I found it absolutely impossible to keep my seat because I could not think of a word to say for myself, and so I rose and walked hastily towards the card room, resolving to stay with Mrs. Mervyn the rest of the evening and not to dance at all. But before I could find her, Lord Orville saw and approached me. He begged to know if I was not well. You may easily imagine how much I was embarrassed. I made no answer, but hung my head like a fool and looked on my fan. He then, with an air the most respectfully serious, asked if he had been so unhappy as to offend me. No, indeed, cried I, and in hopes of changing the discourse and preventing his further inquiries, I desired to know if he had seen the young lady who had been conversing with me. No, but would I honour him with any commands to her? Oh, by no means. Was there any person with whom I wished to speak? I said no before I knew I had answered at all. Should he have the pleasure of bringing me any refreshment? I bowed, almost involuntarily, and away he flew. I was quite ashamed of being so troublesome and so much above myself as these seeming airs made me appear, but indeed I was too much confused to think or act with any consistency. If he had not been swift as lightning, I don't know whether I should have stolen away again, but he returned in a moment. When I had drunk a glass of lemonade, he hoped, he said, that I would again honour him with my hand, as a new dance was just begun. I had not the presence of mind to say a single word, and so I let him once more lead me to the place I had left. Shocked to find how silly, how childish a part I had acted, my former fears of dancing before such a company and with such a partner returned more forcibly than ever. I suppose he perceived my uneasiness, for he entreated me to sit down again if dancing was disagreeable to me, but I was quite satisfied with the folly I had already shown, and therefore declined his offer, though I was really scarce able to stand. Under such conscious disadvantages, you may easily imagine, my dear sir, how ill I acquitted myself. But though I both expected and deserved to find him very much mortified and displeased at his ill fortune in the choice he had made, yet, to my very great relief, he appeared to be even contented, and very much assisted and encouraged me. These people in high life have too much presence of mind, I believe, to seem disconcerted or out of humour, however they may feel. For had I been the person of the most consequence in the room, I could not have met with more attention and respect. So even though she's so ridiculous, like she ran away and she kind of hid from him and was trying to escape and she left him out on the dance floor, he's still so sweet and so respectful to her. He's treating her like she's the most important person in the room. She's so embarrassed. And then the nicer he is, you know how that is when you're like, the nicer he is, the more embarrassed she gets, and then the less comfortable, so the less she can even talk to him. Or we've all had that kind of experience where you're doing fine, and then somebody's really nice to you, so you burst into tears or something. Yeah. Caden! Oh, shit. Will you take that from him? Sharpie marker, door, cupboard, wall. He's a handful. Oh, my goodness. He loves markers. How did he even get that one? Oh, thank you, sis. You little pumpkin. Here, take that one, too, before he draws on something else. Oh, you're such a thank you, you little fluff. I love you, you little stinker. You're such a handful. Yeah, give me the lid.
Get on the stage.
Oh. Do you want to get up? You can get up, but you can't take the Sharpies. It's bad enough with the washable ones that just wipe off. The Sharpies, you have to get magic erasers and stuff. When the dance was over, seeing me so very much flurried, he led me to a seat, saying that he would not suffer me to fatigue myself from politeness, and then, if my capacity or even my spirits had been better, in how animated a conversation might I have been engaged.
What's the fee?
Car. It was then I saw that the rank of Lord Orville was his least recommendation, his understanding and his manners being far more distinguished. His remarks upon the company in general were so apt, so just, so lively. I am almost surprised myself that they did not reanimate me, but indeed I was too well convinced of the ridiculous part I had myself played before so nice an observer to be able to enjoy his pleasantry. So she's so embarrassed that she just gets worse and worse. So self-compassion gave me feeling for others. Yet I had not the courage to attempt either to defend them or to rally in my turn, but listened to him in silent embarrassment. When he found this, he changed the subject and talked of public places and public performers, but he soon discovered that I was totally ignorant of them. He then, very ingeniously, turned the discourse to the amusements and occupations of the country. It now struck me that he was resolved to try whether or not I was capable of talking upon any subject. This put so great a constraint upon my thoughts that I was unable to go further than a monosyllable, and not even so far when I could possibly avoid it. So he's just talking and trying to keep up this conversation, trying to bring up anything that she will talk about. And she's just so embarrassed she won't even hardly say a word. Poor guy. And she's so impressed by him, too. We were sitting in this manner, he conversing with all gaiety, looking down, and I looking down with all foolishness, when that fop who had first asked me to dance, with the most ridiculous solemnity, approached, and after a profound bow or two, he said, "I humbly beg pardon, madame, and of you too, my lord, for breaking in upon such agreeable conversation, which must doubtless be much more delectable than what I have the honour to offer, but—" I interrupted him, I blush for my folly, with laughing, yet I could not help it, for added to the man's stately foppishness, he took the lid off and bashed himself and his hand. It's okay. Did you bunk? Are you tired? It's okay. You're so tired. Oh, his poor shirt came undone. You're so tired. You ready for bed? Look, did you say hi? Did you even say hi? No? Do you want to show off the earrings? You want to show them? Yeah. Oh, so pretty. Oh, do you want to show them off? Yeah. Oh, so pretty. Oh, show him. Oh, so nice. He likes to be the one to show him. Oh.
That's the best of a car I could do.
Oh, it's cute. Okay, let's see. I could not help it, for added to the man's stately foppishness, and he actually took snuff between every 3 words. When I looked round at Lord Orville, I saw such extreme surprise in his face, the cause of which appeared so absurd, that I could not for my life preserve my gravity. I had not laughed before him from the time I had left Miss Mervyn, and I had much better of cried then. Lord Orville actually stared at me. The beau, I know not his name, looked quite enraged. "Refrain, madam," said he with an important air. "A few moments, refrain. I have but a sentence to trouble you with. May I know to what accident I must attribute not having the honour of your hand?" "Accident, sir?" repeated I, much astonished. "Yes, accident, madam, for surely I must take the liberty to observe, pardon me, madam, it ought to be no common one that should tempt a lady, so young a one too, to be guilty of ill manners." Ah, now that's an insult back then. A confused idea now for the first time entered my head of something I had heard of the rules of an assembly, but I was never at one before. I have only danced at school, and so giddy and heedless I was that I had not once considered the impropriety of refusing one partner and afterwards accepting another. So it's very bad manners. Either you dance or you don't dance, but you don't say no to one person and then yes to the next person. That's considered very rude. So she refused him and she wasn't going to dance. And then this other guy was so nice that she agreed to dance with him without realizing that that's extremely bad manners. And so he comes to confront her with her rudeness. And she just doesn't know, you know. She, poor girl, she's just embarrassing herself more and more.
Mom, what's the theme?
Goofy.
Goofy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can draw that goofy face.
I was thunderstruck at the recollection, but while these thoughts were rushing into my head, Lord Orville, with some warmth, said, "This lady, sir, is incapable of meriting such an accusation." The creature, for I am very angry with him, made a low bow, and with a grin the most malicious I ever saw. "My lord," said he, "far be it from me to accuse the lady for having the discernment. I'm sorry. Discernment. Oh, sorry, Caden was so wiggly that I was. The discernment to distinguish and prefer the superior attractions of your lordship." Again he bowed and walked off. Was ever anything so provoking? I was ready to die with shame. "What a coxcomb!" exclaimed Lord Orville, while I, without knowing what I did, rose hastily and moving off. "I can't imagine," said I, "where Mrs. Mervyn has hid herself." "Give me leave to see," answered he. I bowed and sat down again, not daring to meet his eyes, for what must he think of me between my blunder and the supposed preference? He returned in a moment, and told me that Mrs. Mervyn was at cards, but would be glad to see me, and I went immediately. There was but one chair vacant, so to my great relief, Lord Orville presently left us. I then told Mrs. Mervyn my disasters, and she good-naturedly blamed herself for not having better instructed me, but said she had taken it for granted that I must know such common customs. However, the man may, I think, be satisfied with his pretty speech, and carry his resentment no further. In a short time Lord Orville returned. I consented, with the best grace I could, to go down another dance, for I had had time to recollect myself, and therefore resolved to use some exertion, and, if possible, appear less a fool than I had hitherto done. For it occurred to me that, insignificant as I was, compared to a man of his rank and figure, yet, since he had been so unfortunate as to make choice of me for a partner, why I should endeavour to make the best of it. The dance, however, was short, and he spoke very little, so I had no opportunity of putting my resolution in practice. He was satisfied, I suppose, with his former successless efforts to draw me out, or rather I fancied he had been inquiring who I was. This again disconcerted me, and the spirits I had determined to exert again failed me. Tired, ashamed, and mortified, I begged to sit down till we returned home, which I did soon after. Lord Orville did me the honour to hand me to the coach, talking all the way of the honour I had done him. Oh, these fashionable people! Well, my dear sir, was it not a strange evening? I could not help but being thus particular, because to me everything is so new. But it is now time to conclude. I am, with all love and duty, your Evelina. Letter 12. Evelina in continuation. Tuesday, April 5th. There is to be no end to the troubles of last night. I have this moment, between persuasion and laughter, gathered from Maria the most curious dialogue that ever I heard. You will at first be startled at my vanity, but, my dear sir, have patience. It must have passed while I was sitting with Mrs. Mervyn in the card-room. Maria was taking some refreshment, and saw Lord Orville advancing for the same purpose himself. But he did not know her, though she had immediately recollected him. Presently after, a very gay-looking man stepped hastily up to him, cried, "Why, my lord, what have you done with your lovely partner?" "Nothing," answered Lord Orville, with a smile and a shrug. "By Jove," cried the man, "she's the most beautiful creature I ever saw in my life." Lord Orville, as well he might, laughed, but answered, "Yes, a pretty, modest-looking girl." "Oh, my lord," cried the madman, "she is an angel." "A silent one," returned he. "Why, ay, my lord. How stands she as to that? She looks all intelligence and expression." "A poor, weak girl," answered Lord Orville, shaking his head. "By Jove," cried the other, "I am glad to hear it." At that moment, the same odious creature who had been my former tormentor joined them. Addressing Lord Orville with great respect, he said, I beg pardon, my lord, if I was, as I fear might be the case, rather too severe in my censure of the lady who is honoured with your protection. But, my lord, ill breeding is apt to provoke a man. Ill breeding, cried my unknown champion. Impossible. That elegant face can never be so vile a mask. Oh, sir, as to that, answered he, you must allow me to judge, for though I pay all deference to your opinion in other things, yet I hope you will grant, and I appeal to your lordship also, that I am not totally despicable as a judge of good or ill manners. I was so wholly ignorant, said Lord Orville gravely, of the provocation you might have had, that I could not but be surprised at your singular resentment. It was far from my intention, answered he, to offend your lordship, but really, for a person who is nobody, to give herself such airs, I own I could not commend my passions. For, my lord, though I have made diligent inquiry, I cannot learn who she is. By what I can make out, cried my defender, she must be a country parson's daughter. He, very good, 'pon honour, cried the fop. Well, so I could have sworn by her manners. And then, delighted at his own wit, he laughed and went away, as I suppose, to repeat it. But what the deuce is all this? Demanded the other. Why, a very foolish affair, answered Lord Orville. Your Helen first refused this coxcomb, and then danced with me. This is all I can gather of it. Oh, Orville, returned he, you are a happy man, but ill-bred, I can never believe it, and she looks too sensible to be ignorant. Whether ignorant or mischievous, I will not pretend to determine, but certain it is she attended to all I could say to her, though I have really fatigued myself with fruitless endeavours to entertain her, with the most immovable gravity. But no sooner did Lovell begin his complaint, than she was seized with a fit of laughing, first affronting the poor beau, and then enjoying his mortification. Oh, why, there's some genius in that, my lord, though perhaps rather rustic. Here Maria was called to dance, and so heard no more. Now tell me, my dear sir, did you ever know anything more provoking? A poor weak girl, ignorant or mischievous? What mortifying words! I am resolved, however, that I will never again be tempted to go to an assembly. I wish I had been in Dorsetshire. Well, after this you will not be surprised that Lord Orville contented himself with an inquiry after our healths this morning by his servant, without troubling himself to call. Oh, that's another thing back in the day. So if they met, like if a man danced with a lady, it wasn't like, okay, let's dance. He usually had to dance with her twice, and then he was expected to sort of make sure she had what she needed through the evening, and then to go see her the next day and call on her and just pay respect. Like, it was a big deal, things like that. The proprieties and everything were huge. And they didn't have to. They could just send an inquiry after their health, but they were supposed to check the next day and make sure they were okay, basically. And so he didn't call. He didn't come to their house. He just sent a servant to make sure they were okay. He contented himself with an inquiry after our healths this morning by his servant, without troubling himself to call, as Miss Mervyn had told me he would, but perhaps it may be only a country custom. I would not live here for the world. I care not how soon we leave town. London soon grows tiresome. I wish the captain would come. Mrs. Mervyn talks of the opera for this evening. However, I am very indifferent to it. Wednesday morning. Well, my dear sir, I have been pleased against my will, I could almost say, for I must own I went out in very ill humour, which I think you cannot wonder at, but the music and the singing were charming. Come here, you monkey. I have to go clean all the writing off the walls. Ah, you silly baby. You just like to make messes. He loves them. And there's not a marker he cannot get the lid off. Here, let's close it so you can't read it. They soothed me into a pleasure the most grateful, the best suited to my present disposition in the world. I hope to persuade Mrs. Mervyn to go again on Saturday. I wish the opera was every night. It is, of all entertainments, the sweetest and most delightful. Some of the songs seemed to melt my very soul. It was what they call a...
Is that How is the music, huh?
Pretty.
Yeah. Hey, give me those.
Oh, okay. It was what they call a serious opera, as the comic first singer was ill. Tonight we go to Ranelagh. If any of those three gentlemen who converse so freely about me should be there. But I won't think of it. Thursday evening. Well, my dear sir, we went to Ranelagh. It was a charming place, and the brilliancy of the lights on my first entrance made me almost think I was in some enchanted castle or fairy palace, for all looked like magic to me. The very first person I saw was Lord Orville. I felt so confused, but he did not see me. After tea, Mrs. Mervyn being tired, Maria and I walked around the room alone. Then again we saw him standing by the orchestra. We too stopped to hear a singer. He bowed to me. I curtsied, and I am sure I coloured. We soon walked on, not liking our situation. However, he did not follow us, and when we passed by the orchestra again, he was gone. Afterwards, in the course of the evening, we met him several times, but he was always with some party and never spoke to us, though whenever he chanced to meet my eyes, he condescended to bow. I cannot but be hurt at the opinion he entertains of me. It is true my own behaviour incurred it. Yet he is himself the most agreeable and seemingly the most amiable man in the world, and therefore it is that I am grieved to be thought ill of by him. For of whose esteem ought we to be ambitious, if not of those who are most merit our own? But it is too late. But it is too late to reflect upon this now. Well, I can't help it. However, I think I have done with the Sundays. This morning was destined for seeing sights.
Thanks.
Auctions, curious shops, and so forth, but my head ached, and I was not in a humour to be amused, and so I made them go without me, though very unwillingly. They are all kindness. And now I am sorry I did not accompany them, for I know not what to do with myself. I had resolved not to go to the play tonight, but I believe I shall. In short, I hardly care whether I do or not. I thought I had done wrong. Mrs. Mervyn and Maria have been half the town over, and so entertained, while I, like a fool, stayed at home to do nothing. And at the auction in Pall Mall, who should they meet but Lord Orville? He sat next to Mrs. Mervyn, and they talked a great deal together, but she gave me no account of the conversation. I may never have such another opportunity of seeing London. I'm quite sorry that I was not of the party, but I deserve this mortification for having indulged my ill humour. Thursday night. We are just returned from the play, which was King Lear, and made me very sad. We did not see anybody we knew. Well, adieu. It is too late to write more. Friday. Captain Mervyn is arrived. I have not spirits to give an account of his introduction, for he has really shocked me. I do not like him. He seems to be surly, vulgar, and disagreeable. Almost the same moment that Maria was presented to him, he began some rude jests upon the bad shape of her nose, and called her a tall, ill-formed thing. She bore it with the utmost good humour, but that kind and sweet-tempered woman, Mrs. Mervyn, deserved a better lot. I am amazed she would marry him. For my own part, I have been so shy that I have hardly spoken to him, or he to me. I cannot imagine why the family were so rejoiced at his return. If he had spent his whole life abroad, I should have supposed they might rather have been thankful than sorrowful. His whole life away, they would have been happier. She does not like him. He's really rude. However, I hope they do not think so ill of him as I do. At least, I am sure they have too much prudence to make it known. Saturday night. We have been to the opera, and I am still more pleased than I was on Tuesday. I could have thought myself in paradise, but for the continual talking of the company around me. We sat in the pit, where everybody was dressed in so high a style that if I had been less delighted with the performance, my eyes would have found me sufficient entertainment from looking at the ladies. I was very grateful I did not sit next to the captain, for he could not bear the music or singers, and was extremely gross in his observations on both. When the opera was over, we went into a place called the coffee room, where ladies as well as gentlemen assemble. There are all sorts of refreshments, and the company walk about and chat with the same ease and freedom as in a private room. On Monday we go to a ridotto, and on Wednesday we return to Howard Grove. The captain says he won't stay here to be smoked with filth any longer, but having been 7 years smoked with the burning sun, he will retire to the country and sink in It says, I'm reading, sweetheart. And sink into a fair weather chat. Adieu, my sir. Okay, that's the end of that letter. A lot of these is like she starts the letter and then just adds to it every day. So it's like the letter starts and it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So they're kind of long, but they're kind of fun. It was a little bit of a long reading today, but he was happy. So that was fun. 3 of his teeth came through and the 4th is just about to. So he's been quite a bit happier. He even kind of slept last night. He only woke me up 3 times instead of like 10. It was amazing. And he went to bed at 1 instead of 6. See how happy I am? See? I'm happy. I'm grateful. He's a pumpkin. Yeah, I love you. He's way happier, although he was in so much pain. His whole mouth was swollen.
The phone's listening to me.
Okay, well, thank you for stopping by, for spending 40 minutes with us at the Story Corner, and we will see you next time. And I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whenever you're listening to this. I hope you're good. Good night.